The No Nonsense Roundtable. It's a weekly show broadcast on Rochester, New York's 50,000-watt iHeart radio station, News Radio Wham 1180. The host, Dom Geneva, interviews guests from all walks of life, all with amazing stories to tell. What you are about to hear is a recording of a previous broadcast without the breaks and commercials. Now, here's host Dom Geneva.
Well, welcome everybody to another edition of the No Nonsense Roundtable. We're here today with Etienne. And if this show is about people that you know and you want to know more about, or people you don't know and you should know, I think Leon probably hits both, depending on what you see on TV and how interested you are in magic. And he's got a show coming up, and I'm recording him from Nashville. Well, he's in Nashville. I'm here. And
I wish you were here with me.
Well, you haven't met me yet, so I think you're going out on a limb, Leon.
I'm a pretty good judge of character, and I think I'm getting good vibes from you, so I think you should come down to Nashville next time. I love that this show's the No Nonsense Roundtable, because Howard Stern, when he championed me on America's Got Talent, the quote was literally, no nonsense magic right in your face. Love it, $1 million act. And I mean, now I end up on the No Nonsense Roundtable. How good is that?
Well, give me his address so I can sue him for trademark infringement, if you would, please.
If you want to go up against Howard Stern, be my guest.
Well, surprisingly, we had a disc jockey here in Rochester, the Wheeze, and Wheeze beat him in Rochester. So
That's
popular.
amazing.
Yeah, he really did. He kind of chased him out of town. But there's a connection there.
Rochester.
Yeah.
That's what I love about Rochester. In the Central New York, Western New York community in general, they will always support hometown over any big national thing. And I happen to be from Utica, New York, and I'm coming to the Wester Auditorium Theater on October 21st, and we cannot wait to rock out Rochester. Last year, I had the privilege of playing the Rochester Fringe Festival in a much smaller venue, and the buyers at the Auditorium Theater saw me, and they were like, "Hey, we got to have Magic Rocks at our venue." So we're so excited. I know Rochester's going to come out and support.
Well, I love this place. I really do. I think you have to live someplace else to realize how great this place is. I mean, so you got, you got the, the bad weather. You got the bad weather and stuff, But people,
but everywhere has stuff that they deal with, right? And I'm in the fortunate position. I've got to travel on 6 of the 7 continents. I haven't made it to Antarctica yet. David Copperfield, he's performed there. I don't know what he was doing there, performing for some penguins or scientists. I don't know. But until I get there, it's not. But what you say is true. After traveling 6 of the 7 continents and living all over the world for residencies, coming back home to upstate New York is just. You don't realize how special it is until you leave it. So you're absolutely right.
Well, I just got my federal talk about trademarks. I just got my federal trademark on the town I discovered. Yes, and when you come back the next time, maybe we can have you perform in my town. And the town is.
I love this.
The town is the great town of Middle Finger Lake.
I love that so much. So wait a second. You're telling me you're interviewing an illusionist, but you're the guy that made a whole town appear.
Well, yeah, it's sort of like Lake Woebegone. It's Middle. You know what the theme of the town is?
No.
Where life is perfect, but could always be better.
That's fantastic.
So I'm going to give a plug for myself. So we're having
please do.
So we're having 2 shows, just a little 100-seat theater in December, on December 4th and December 11th, for the benefit of the Rochester Rotary Sunshine Camp and the Ronald McDonald House. But it's going to be the Middle Finger Lake Performing Arts Center.
Oh, I want to play that Performing Arts Center. That's incredible.
But enough about me. Let's talk about.
I love this. No, let's talk about that more.
Middle Finger Lake.
What's the stage shaped like at that?
Well, it's just a little stage. This guy is a little venue in Lyman, New York, and I love this place because what he does is he brings these blues acts in during the week when they wouldn't be doing anything else. He's got upstairs. He's got a place for them to stay, and so he lets them take whatever the gate is, and their gross becomes net, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah, and so he gets all these great acts. Oh, it is just absolutely delightful.
Well, I was expecting you to say the stage was in the shape of a middle finger.
No. We can't get. We can't. No, we. Can, this is very subtle.
I love it.
This is very subtle. But let's get to you now. Now, most people that are, you can't say it's a trick. It's an illusion, right? I mean, you don't like the word trick, right? Is that it?
Well, you know what? The popular TV show.
Yes.
What was it? The one with
Arrested Development. Yes.
They kind of like brought that into pop culture. Like that magicians get mad about it. Of course, Job is like, it's not a trick, it's an illusion. And there is some truth to that, but not really. In the real magic world amongst magicians at conventions and stuff, yes, we have magic conventions and competitions, nerd alert, right? But there's actually an Olympics of magic. I've competed in all these different things. I was lucky enough to win them. But what's interesting is when you really to me, I don't really care if you call it a trick, call it an illusion, call it whatever you want, as long as you're having a good time, right? There's so much misery and BS in the world every time you turn on the TV. So when people come to my show, it's literally about having a great time. I literally am driven by one simple quote, and that is that the world needs magic now more than ever. And I'm on a mission to bring it to people because no matter your age, young, old, middle-aged, doesn't matter. Everyone likes magic, especially if it's performed well. There are people who have had bad experiences with magic because there's not, like any industry, there are bad performers and good performers. And statistically, most people in their lifetime will never, ever see a live magician. So now when you bump that into another category, so let's assume the small percentage of people see a live magician. Now you better, we as an industry, as a magic industry, better hope that audience is exposed to a good magician. Because if it isn't a good magician, they're likely never going to a live magic show again. So that's what we're up against. But when I bring the show to and sit there and look out and I see generations of families sitting there together, smiling, having a good time, laughter, that's what it's all about. So the categories of, trick, illusion, it was literally just that fun, meme kind of culture now that was brought on Arrested Development. I've literally had radio interviews with like NPR and stuff where they put the theme to Job's magic show behind my interview as kind of like a joke to me and also a joke to the people who watch the show and literally open the interview with sound bites from Arrested Development. So it's very pop culture and it comes up all the time and I love it because, it obviously, as you know, the show definitely portrayed magic in kind of a hokey jokey way, which is great. We all need a laugh. But my show is definitely complete opposite of that.
Well, let me ask you a question. I ask everybody, what did you want to do when you were 10 years old? Was it being a magician? Is it a straight line? Or did you want to, be a cowboy or something like that?
No, so of course. So when I was 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, growing up in Utica, New York, we had the AHL team, the Utica Devils. So big hockey fan. I played ice hockey, baseball, football, huge sports dude, right? And what happened is basically when I was 12 years old, I got grounded by my mother. Now, everyone asks, what were you grounded for? She cannot remember, nor can I. But it must have been a small infraction, right? Because it wasn't like, oh, my God, he set the cat on fire or something. You know what I mean? It wasn't something crazy like that. And so I was grounded in my room, and I was bored out of my mind. Now, everyone, back in, I don't know, this must have been like 1992 or something. There was no internet. I don't even think I had a TV in my room. I may have had a video game console, but that was taken away when you were grounded. So all I was left with was my hockey gear, my fire trucks under the bed. And then also under the bed, I had pulled out a magic kit that my grandparents had given me like a Christmas before. And I really had no interest in it until that moment. I was just so bored from being grounded that I pulled it out. I learned a trick. Like I was like, oh, let's try this one. Just arbitrarily, just pick something random. And I left my room. And any good parent will know the first question you ask your kid when they leave the room when they're grounded is, what are you doing out of your room? So my mom said, what are you doing out of your room? I said, Mom, I just want to show you this thing. And I performed this card trick that I had spent, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes working on for her. And I saw a grown woman's mind melt right in front of me. And at 12 years old, that was extremely powerful because I was like, wait a second, the woman who's been telling me what to do my whole life, all of a sudden now I have a power. There's a power dynamic that shifted. So, and you can get into the psychology of it, but basically it was like, her mind melted and she smiled in joy. And it was so much fun. She forgot I was grounded. She's like, do you got any more? And I didn't. So, but that's what lit the spark. And then literally, this was probably 2 months before Thanksgiving. And literally there used to be, and some listeners might remember this, for 5 years in a row on NBC the night before Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving Eve, when families are gathered around and they're, it's a good time for TV specials, right? NBC produced a special called World's Greatest Magic. And I remember as the magic bug had bit me and I had studied that book, that Thanksgiving was like year 3. And it was on the TV. And I remember watching that and I go, oh my God, none of that is in my magic book. How do I learn that? And these were people who are now my peers. I looked up to them for years and now I've got to perform on shows with them. And it's amazing how it goes full circle. But I'll put a button on it like this. What happened is the next morning, this is Thanksgiving morning now. I said to my dad, I was like, Dad, I want to learn more magic. And he literally was like, Leon, I don't know anything about magic. Like, I know sports. I know this. He was our coach for all the youth sports. So what he did, and I give him so much credit because I wouldn't know what to do. This is like this is before internet. He opened up the phone book and he literally just looked at magicians. The first magician in the phone book, he called and was like, hey, my son's into this. I have no idea what to do. What can we do? And then that started me on a lifelong journey 27 years ago.
Well, with that, we're heading into a break and we're going to talk more about all this when we come back. Well, welcome back. You're listening to the No Nonsense Roundtable. We're here today with Leon Etienne, who's going to be at the West Her Auditorium on October 21st with his magic show. And at the end of the last segment, we were talking about how he got interested in magic. And he's in his room being in detention by his mother, gets interested in a magic kit that his grandparents gave him. And he decided to show his mother a trick, and he got away with it. And rather than getting away with it by going into a life of crime, he decides, I mean, usually when kids get away with something, it doesn't go a good place. This is a good place. You got away with something and went to a good place.
Well, it's actually an interesting concept that you brought up because people think, when they think about magic, obviously there's the entertainment value, the fun aspect. But think about this. Magic was never meant to entertain because magic wasn't created by magicians. Most of the stuff we use, especially in the card world, like card tricks, which everyone loves a good card trick, was created by gamblers who were trying to cheat, people out of money. I mean, you're talking, 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, railroads, when all the gambling was in place. It was that's what it was. It was people trying to gain an advantage on people. And then at some point during that time frame, entertainers started paying attention. They're like, well, wait a second, we can use these same principles to entertain people and not cheat them out of money. And I personally, I say this all the time to my audience. When I introduce myself or you come to a magic show, there's already an agreement made between the audience and the performer. And that is, look, I'm a magician. So basically what I'm saying to you is I'm an honest liar. Like, I'm going to lie to you. I'm going to entertain you while I'm doing it, but you're in a safe place, right? Whereas if you were to go to sit at a private poker game and you don't know one of the guys and he's cleaning up on everyone, that could be a card cheat in your presence that's trying to gain an advantage. So I'm glad I fell, to your point, I'm glad I fell on the entertainment side of that because I've met some of these guys, these people, and they're rough characters and they are literally out there making a living cheating people.
Well, a lot of them had to have evolved into hedge fund managers. I mean,
yes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
I love that. I will not argue that point at all.
So you're doing it for good and not evil. Yeah. Well, I'm looking at this place as Penn and Teller. Let's talk about you. Let's do some shameless self-promotion, which I think you will love. Who doesn't like talking about themselves?
Everyone's favorite word is their own name, right?
Absolutely. So what was the first gig that you did? I mean, I ask musicians this, and they say, I was at Sam's bar mitzvah, and I played my guitar, and I was 6 years old or whatever. So what's the first paid gig you had?
First paid gig I ever did was my mom worked for Blue Cross Blue Shield, which I think has changed its name 100 times now, but the insurance company. And one of her friends was like, hey, because obviously my mom was talking about me doing magic at work like a proud mom. And she's like, hey, dude, would your son do my son's birthday party? So literally my first gig was in someone's basement for my mom's work friend. And it was incredible. As a matter of fact, when you guys come to the show, at the Western Auditorium on October 21st, I show several pictures of me doing my first gig. So there's a live comparison on stage between my costume that my grandma took me to the Salvation Army to get like a used tuxedo for my first show. And then seriously, and the pictures are hilarious and every audience laughs, but also then they have that heartwarming moment of, oh my God, his grandma cared enough to, help him out and bring him there. And I say this all the time. I say it in the show, like my grandparents gave me the gift of magic, right? By simply giving me that magic kit. You have no idea how far a small gift will go and take someone. I mean, this literally has taken me around the world. It's led to a 27-year carear. And like I said, the world needs magic now more than ever. And I'm happy to be bringing it. But yeah, that first show, 13 years old and never looked back. Another fun fact that two fun facts is I am the only magician I know that is allergic to rabbits. And that is the God's honest truth. That is no BS.
Just rabbits or anything furry?
Just rabbits. I have no other allergies, man. We got an allergy test. I'm fine with cats, dogs. When we were touring China, we had a 350-pound white Bengal tiger in the show. And I was fine with her. Like nothing, man. The only thing, if I get near a rabbit, my ears itch, eyes water, nose runs. It's an allergic reaction.
There's some karma. There's some karma there. I mean, there's some karma from rabbit souls in the past. I mean, being stuffed into hats and stuff like that. There's karma
let's get
there.
Let's get something straight. My style is the complete opposite of that. So I wouldn't even do the trick if I could because, it's old school. It's a little hokey. But also, you have met the magician who cannot pull a rabbit out of a hat. But not because I'm incompetent, right? It's because of an allergic reaction that happened on stage. So that's true. And then another really interesting fact that everyone always likes to talk about is,
are we screening for rabbits like you do for is there a thing where you can't get in if you have a rabbit?
We have an allergist on site at every show and they are scanning to make sure there's no rabbits being smuggled in because that's what'll get me. That's if someone wants to take me out, a rabbit's a good way to do it. So the rabbit tried at 12 and then at 13 years old, and this is no BS either. I was playing in a baseball game in West Utica and a big storm came in. And as the storm intensified, the umpire called the game and I was actually physically struck by lightning.
Ooh.
There's a whole video of it on YouTube. You can just go to YouTube and type in Leon lightning strike. And I can just tell you, everyone asked what it was like. It was the greatest pain I've ever felt in my life. Mm-hmm. I hope to never feel anything like it again. And both myself and my teammates that were right next to me were very lucky to be alive, man. Like it really happened. It's not a thing I do for publicity. It's just part of my life story.
Well, when we come back from this break, we're going to be talking about another life-threatening thing that you actually plan. I mean, this is. You plan this on purpose, and you do this for a living, which is okay. That's a big leap of faith in yourself. So we're heading into a news break, and we're going to talk about that when we come back. Well, welcome back. You're listening to the No Nonsense Roundtable. We're here with Leon Etienne, who is a master musician. Magician. Oh my God, I'm just so terrible at this. They should throw me off the air. Magician who will be in town at the West Her Auditorium on October 21st with a spectacular show. And one of the things that you do is this jaws of life or jaws of no life or jaws of death. I mean, it's, I guess it's like a Houdini thing where if you haven't screwed it up yet. But if you do, it's going to be a really bad show.
Correct.
Tell me about this illusion or whatever.
So the jaws of death is an escape. So Harry Houdini created a whole genre of entertainment, right? Not just magic. It was literally escapology. And the difference between the two is magic is, in most cases an illusion, right? We're doing one thing, telling you we're doing one thing, but there's really some skill or other stuff going on behind the scenes that make it look like an illusion, look like magic. With escapology, you're really doing what you're saying. There is no illusion or trick. It's just real danger. And it captivates people. It's good for publicity. So Houdini was famous for the upside down straitjacket escape. And then, back in the day, it was a spectacle. It was great. But modern audiences, you kind of need to add a little more. So that's how the Jaws of Death was born. So now I don't know how much I should say about it, because hopefully the Rochester, other media outlets are going to be covering this next week. We're going to be next Wednesday, October 18th. We're going to be doing this stunt on the steps of the Wester Auditorium. And it's going to be incredible. We'll see what happens. I did this and created this for a show called Penn and Teller Fool Us, which I've been on twice and fooled them. And it's an amazing stunt, but it is no joke, man. There's nothing funny about it while it's going on. It's just a pure skill, but it's entertaining and it's fun.
So you put yourself, you raise yourself on the stage, you put yourself in this thing, and if you don't do it and it just. So
think of it like a human-sized bear trap.
Yeah.
Except the bear trap is on a timer.
Yeah.
So, and it really is, because there's a fire rope. So you ignite the rope and the rope burns. And it's only going to burn for, I think it's 45 seconds is what the timing is. And then it snaps. And if the rope snaps, and I'm still between that big human-sized bear trap, you can imagine the result.
Who thinks of this stuff? I mean, is this...
Sick people.
I mean, really...
I work closely with an illusion consultant. Believe it or not, there's actually people's jobs, full-time living, who create magic for a living. And with this one in particular, I got to give a shout out and credit where credit's due. He's a gentleman named Mike Michaels, and he works with everyone, Copperfield, Chris Angel, David Blaine, Leon Etienne. He works with everyone and creates magic. And this was his brainchild. And it's a phenomenal feat. It's something you have to be physically in shape for and practice a lot. Mm-hmm. But audiences love it. Media coverage loves it because it looks dangerous, and that's because it is.
Ever see that episode of WKRP in Cincinnati when they dropped the turkeys from the helicopter, not realizing?
What?
Oh, no, you never saw that, did you? Oh, yeah, no. It is great. They dropped turkeys from a helicopter, not realizing that these domestic turkeys can't fly. They can't fly, and the humanity of it. Yeah, that's what you're risking with this.
Oh my God!
Oh my God! I went there. Oh, the kids are traumatized for life.
That's
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. But it's also pretty funny.
It is fun. Somebody's got to
horrible for the turkeys. But I mean, could you imagine the people who thought that up? Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, it was you're too young. It was a sitcom back in the 70s or early 80s or whatever. But that is, I mean, this is the downside of this not working is much worse than getting your money back.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I mean, in all seriousness, I've had friends who are escape. I dabble in escape, so I don't. This is pretty hardcore, but it's not the hardest core. You know what I mean? I've had friends who have very much hurt themselves just because, and who know what they're doing. Like, they're professionals, they're doing it the right way. One of my buddies is paralyzed now.
Oh,
it accidents happen once in a while, no matter how many precautions you take, but it's a risk. It's kind of like football players, right? And anyone that plays sports, we know there's an inherent risk. We wouldn't if we didn't want to be doing it. But that being said, we do take every precaution necessary, both by law and over law to keep myself safe and my crew safe. But, there's always that slight chance that, the perfect series of events could happen. And, you knock on wood and hope that never happens.
Well, one of the things I'm looking at is your list of accomplishments. You've had national attention, Penn and Teller, America's Got Talent, Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, CBS This Morning, Today, Howard Stern. And I'm looking at this one, Dancing with the Stars. How's it dancing? I mean, how did that work out? I mean, what is that?
Yeah, well, that's actually super funny. First of all, a kid from Utica, New York, right, has accomplished all that. And that's one of my messages I love when I go to schools in upstate New York and talk and do assemblies is, look, if it could happen to a kid from the inner city of Utica, New York, where in my high school I was a minority, you know what I mean? Just the only reason I wasn't getting beat up every day is because I was known as Magic Man, So it's like, hey, Magic Man, show me a trick today, And so I wasn't the cool kid, but I also wasn't the nerd either. I was kind of somewhere in between. But if it can happen to me, it can happen to anyone. So if anyone listening has any kids, grandkids, just keep encouraging them no matter what your situation is. because if it can happen to me, it can happen to all this stuff. Dancing with the Stars started, it was Dancing with the Stars at sea. So I used to work a lot of cruise ships, and they would bring out all the Dancing with the Stars people for certain charters and special events. And they saw my show. And if you remember, one of the hosts at the time or judges was Carson Kressley. And then like Joey Fatone from NSYNC, all those guys, Sandra Burris. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right. But anyway, they were on the cruise ship and they saw us and they were like, hey, can you be on the show? And sure enough, it all worked out and we did the show with them and it was great. Just a quick little segment, but it was super fun.
Well, what is the most fun you have? I mean, when you have a show and everybody's all enthused, I mean, is it the size of the show? Is it the venue? Is it hometown people? What is it?
You know what? It's a tough question because it's like trying to be like, hey, what's your favorite? Like same question when people ask me, what's your favorite illusion? It's like trying to pick your favorite kid, right? They're all awesome. But the most fun we have, you're gonna, this is like real, not even magic stuff. Myself, I was bitten by the pickleball bug about 3 months ago. No BS. 3 months ago. So now every tour stop we go to, we play pickleball before the show. And that is amazing. It puts us in, it gets me, because I'm a competitor, right? Like I told you earlier in the interview, I love playing sports and ice hockey and baseball. And I still do, and I still work out a bunch. But unless you're competing, you're missing something in your life, right? It's just human nature. We like to compete in a good, friendly environment. And pickleball has given me that back. So and I got the crew into it. And they love it now too. We have our own pickleball gear that actually goes on the tour truck and tour bus with us. So yeah, man, we got into that. And then we go to the venue. We've had some exercise and our endorphins are running and we just rock it out. The most fun. And again, this is from the heart. The most fun is when I'm on whatever stage we're on and I look out there and I see grandpa, I see the grandparents, I see the grandkids and the parents. So 3 generations, sometimes 4, sometimes the great grandparents are there, all equally having a great time, laughing. There's jokes in the show that the kids don't get, that the parents get, that the grandparents get. There's jokes in the show that the grandparents and parents don't get and the kids get. It's a completely family-friendly show. It's called Magic Rocks. It's a rock and roll illusion show, but it is a blast. It is fun for everyone. It truly is good, clean, wholesome family entertainment.
Well, we're going into another break, and this brings up a question for you, and we'll be right back. Well, welcome back. We're talking to Leon Etienne, who's going to be performing his magic at the West Her Auditorium on October 21st. And the last segment, we were talking about, well, he gets great joy from telling stories and jokes in this magic show, and he says sometimes that the kids may not get the joke, and the parents do, or the grandparents do, and I have to inject. I have been through that, Leon. I have been through it. So last year I had a Christmas show at the Strong National Museum of Play. You got to say it the right way. Strong National Museum of Play, and the audience. I'm in front of the audience. I got my my red jacket on and whatever, and I'm talking to the audience, right? And I do this joke. My joke is, you realize that Captain Kirk only had a flip bone, right? I mean, right. I mean, you call him Grandpa now and making fun of Captain Kirk. And the audience is like, who's Captain Kirk? I don't understand.
Exactly.
And Carl Laporta, who was the founder of the Rochester Music Hall of Fame, is on his keyboard, and he's telling poopy jokes, right? And he's knocking them dead. He's crushing it with the poopy jokes. And I know exactly what you're talking about. You have to play to an audience that has that much of a difference in age. It's going to be a challenge, but the illusions are the illusions that everybody would understand the illusions.
Yes. Yeah. Magic is a universal language. Even when we toured countries that don't speak English, the good thing is I'll learn enough to communicate to audience members and tell them, ask them to say hi and how are you. But magic's a universal language. Everyone loves it. Young, old, doesn't matter. And the world needs magic now more than ever, which is why you, the listeners, are going to make it out to the West Her Auditorium Theater on Saturday, October 21st. Guys, to grab your tickets, just go to magicrocks.com. There are plenty left. Guys, you know your venue, Western Auditorium Theater. It's beautiful, it's old, it's historic, and there's a lot of seats in that place, guys. And we want a lot of love, energy, and magic in that room, and we can only accomplish that if you guys grab some tickets for us.
Well, this is a chance to, I'm really going to kind of buddy up here. This is a chance to see something that's world class. I mean, this is you've been all over the place on television and, like you said, every continent except Antarctica. Yeah. Coming to a wonderful theater, like you said, with a great venue and whatever. But, the disclaimer is that at the door, you must leave your rabbits at home.
Yes. Leave the rabbits at home so the guy doing the show doesn't have an allergic reaction on stage.
Well, yeah. Well, how about if you have an emotional support rabbit? I mean, with that, I guess.
I don't know what the law says. If your emotional support rabbit will put someone else in danger, I mean, how does that work?
I don't know.
We have to consult a lawyer.
Now, one of the things you were talking about is your crew. How many people do you have in your crew?
Yeah, so the show we're bringing to Rochester is the big show, but it's not the biggest. So the biggest show we do at like casinos and stuff like that. That's a 12-person cast and crew. This one is 6 people. So on stage there'll be myself, my beautiful assistant Chelsea Lukongo, and also her beautiful assistant Mallory Miller. And then behind the scenes we got the best touring crew in the world, guys, bringing you some incredible visuals with amazing light show, sound that's going to sound incredible because it's the whole show is backed by a soundtrack, and it's incredible. And then I also have my production and stage manager making sure everything goes smooth on stage and that we're really bringing the best product possible to you guys in Rochester.
So imagine somewhere in here you're slicing a woman in half.
There is a version of that in the show, and what's interesting is it's a hand-picked version for a very specific reason, and I explain that to people in the show. So if you want to see that, go to magicrocks.com, go to October 21st show under tour dates. It'll take you right to Ticketmaster, and we'll see all you guys at the Western Auditorium Theater on October 21st in Rochester.
What do you mean hand-picked? You take somebody out of the audience?
No, well, yes, yeah. So there's 2 people that come up and help with this, but also there's different versions of the classic song, A Person in Half, right? And I handpicked and curated one for some very specific reasons, which you will see at the show.
Okay. Do you have any idea how many people you actually have sliced in half after all these years?
I've done thousands. Yeah.
And they all came out. They all came out okay.
We only had one we couldn't put back together. But we don't talk about that one. But this is the No-Nonsense Roundtable.
Well,
the no-nonsense stories.
Yeah, and full disclaimer, and full disclosure, rather. Tell me, this is a nasty question. What have you done that did not work?
Well, there's that's a very interesting question. Early on in my career, I use a segment in the show where we have a little bit of fires effects and flash paper. And I used to keep it in my breast pocket. And what happened was at some point I was doing a routine called a manipulation routine where I manipulate like billiard balls and playing cards and candles. I have a sparker that just for a nice visual eye candy. So I ignited the sparker, and unfortunately I had loaded too much spark fluid. It's like a sparkler, right? Too much sparks in there. And the spark jumped from my right hand all the way across my body into my breast pocket. What are the odds? Ignited the flash paper, and it just went off like in my pocket, which then ran up the side of my face. All my hair on the left side of my head had burnt off. It was crazy. I've had that happen. I've also had in China, we were in a beautiful theater, 2 sold out shows. The first show of the night, 2 minutes into the opening routine, I slipped on a chain that an assistant had kind of just haphazardly placed, during the sequence. It was just a dumb mistake on everyone's part. And I slipped on the chain, and as I was pushing this big illusion, just cracked my chin wide open.
Oh!
First number, blood gushing everywhere. I get through the number, and then luckily the next part was a little dance segment with the dancers that just appeared out of nowhere. And the stagehand runs up to me and he puts his flashlight on my chin. He goes, "Oh my God!" And that's not what you want to hear. And he just stuck some tissues to my chin and we taped it. and I did the whole show like that. In between shows, one of our assistants was actually a registered nurse in a previous life. So she cleaned me up and goes, listen, after this second show, we got to get you to the hospital because I'm not leaving, right? We got 2 sold out shows. We got to do this.
Oh, yeah.
I go to the hospital and 10 stitches later, I couldn't shave that spot on my face for about 6 months. So yeah, man, we've had, it's like the old law states, right? Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Mm-hmm. And you just hope you can deal with it in the moment.
Well, we have about a minute left here. So let's do a little bit more retail.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
So October 21st, Rochester, we're coming to you and we are going to rock it. Go to magicrocks.com. It'll take you to click October 21st, Wester Auditorium, and it'll take you to Ticketmaster. And we are going to have an amazing show, guys. I'm so excited for this. And if you can make it out to the publicity stunt, on October 18th, do so. It's going to be open to the public. Just call the Wester Theater. But the most important thing, guys, for us to rock out Rochester and more importantly, come back to Rochester is we need a strong showing. So we need you guys to show up. And you can do that by going to magicrocks.com and grabbing your tickets today.
Well, I have to tell you, thank you for coming on the show. I love having guys like you, enthusiastic entertainers. You get it. You really get it. And the thing I hear from a lot of people that are like you is that whether you perform in front of 10 people or 10,000, you're still having a lot of joy. But it's really kind of a great thing to have 10,000 there. So
it really is. The energy, the energy is amazing when that happens.
Yeah. So everybody, go on to, what's the website address again?
Magicrocks.com.
Okay, magicrocks.com. Leon, thank you ever so much for coming on the show, and I hope to meet you on the 18th, if nothing else.
Yeah, I will see you then. And hey, this has been No Nonsense, man.
Well, next Saturday, 10 a.m., right here on News Radio Web 1180, it's the No Nonsense Roundtable.
Thanks for listening. Tune in every weekend from 10 to 11 on News Radio WHAM 1180. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll make more.